So guys, there will be no new Macs in 2022, and I'm not sad. Let's ramble.
Hold up, things go wild when I pull up. They all on me like it once.
So guys, before we start, a quick word from our sponsor, UPDF, because no matter what model you're using, a Mac is only as good as the software you install on it. UPDF is a universal fast PDF editor that allows you to read, annotate, and edit your PDF files. UPDF is packed full of features such as encryption, converting PDFs with its built-in optical character recognition, and editing and annotating like adding signatures, watermarks, as well as inserting links to websites and other pages within a PDF. You can add and modify images, and of course you can use UPDF to read, organize, and share your PDF collection. UPDF is available for all major platforms such as Windows, Mac, iOS, and Android, and the Mac version includes a native M1 version that runs alongside the older Intel version. Check out their website, which is packed full of helpful guides and tips to help you get started. Oh, and one license is enough to use the application across all of your devices. And especially for my viewers, UPDF is offering a 42% discount if you use the link in the description. Right, back to the video. Hey, what's up guys? It's great to see you all again. And if you're new here, I'm Patrick, and this is where I ramble about tech and other stuff. Now, since you clicked on this video, you probably are into Apple stuff, and you probably know that Apple's year is usually quite bottom heavy in terms of new releases. We pretty much expect the new iPhones to be launched standard every September of every year, and maybe a few other knickknacks, then the new iPads in October, and then Macs in November, or at least that was the expected schedule this year. There's a reason why we call it Techtember and Techtober. It is because those months are usually full of new tech and full of new releases. Now, we had our September Apple event, which saw the release of the new iPhone 14 lineup, which wasn't very exciting, just some minor spec bumps and a few gimmicks like Monkey Island. We did, however, see the launch of what I believe is easily the best Apple Watch ever made, and probably the most exciting Apple release of this year, and that is this beautiful new Apple Watch Ultra. Now, following the rumors, I was getting marginally excited about the M2 iPad Pro launch because we expected there to be some interesting upgrades like MagSafe charging and a repositioning of the front-facing camera, and more importantly, an upgraded Magic Keyboard. Unfortunately, that's where the series of disappointments began because contrary to our expectations, we didn't see an October event at all. There were a couple of press releases instead, and in retrospect, I can see why Apple chose to do so. The upgrades to the flagship iPads were minimal. They were so meaningless. They basically just slapped an M2 chip in there and called it a day, which obviously was very frustrating. So much so that I spent an entire video ranting about why I will not review the M2 iPad Pro at all. I'll link to that video at the end of this one in case you want to hear me use some questionable language. Anyway, because of all that, I can't say I was super surprised when I read Mark Gurman's newsletter in Bloomberg last Sunday. In this newsletter, he announced that there will be no M2 Macs coming this year. And to tell you the truth, I'm not sad about that at all, and I will explain why that is in a little bit, but first let's have a look at Gurman's reasoning, and I do take that very seriously. He does have an excellent track record predicting these things, and I think what he's saying makes total sense. So first of all, Mark points out that the fact that we're not getting new Macs this fall means that there will be fewer devices to sell in Q4, and obviously that means less money for Apple to report to its shareholders. He then continues to point out that Apple has increased the prices of some key services like Apple TV and Apple Music by quite a bit, which could indicate Apple is trying to compensate for a gap in revenue. It also explains why Apple has recently retroactively increased prices of existing devices, especially in Europe, potentially for the same reasons. Gurman says that Apple is aiming to introduce the upgraded models, including the M2-based versions of the 14-inch and the 16-inch MacBook Pros in the first quarter of next year, which will be linked to the launch of macOS Ventura 13.3 and iOS 16.3, most likely the end of February, beginning of March. Now, it's not entirely new that Apple launches new Macs in Q1. This year, it actually launched the Mac Studio in March as well. Now, if this was all speculation based on rumors and some historic precedents, I would still be very skeptical. But Gurman solidifies this statement by saying that Tim Cook during the quarterly earnings call last week, called the product line set for the holiday season, which means no more products this year. Now, at the start of the video, I said that I'm not sad about this, and you might think that's a bit weird, right? Why would a tech channel be against new releases? Well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I run a full-time business during the day, but this YouTube channel has basically become a second business in its own right. And like I said earlier, Techtember and Techtober, and in this case Techvember, can be quite challenging. I mean, with all these new products launching, not only do we have to buy them all, I will also need to spend some real time with these products, finding out their pros and their cons so that I can give you guys proper reviews of said products. The problem is that with all these products launching in quick succession within an 8 to 10 weeks time span, it is almost impossible to give you guys anything more substantial than some first impressions, since we don't really get enough time to review these products in great detail when the next product is already at our doorstep. The second reason I'm not sad about not seeing any new M2 Macs launching this year is the fact that the 14-inch and 16-inch MacBook Pros with their Pro and their Max chips were such massive upgrades from the Intel-based Macs that I'm not expecting more than incremental upgrades this year, much like the lackluster upgrade to the iPad Pro I mentioned earlier. So instead of spending the next weeks providing you with even more superficial first impression style reviews, I can now look forward to do some deep dives into the products that I really do think are worth reviewing in more detail. I can't wait to share my thoughts with you guys about this Apple Watch Ultra, having used it for roughly a month now. I want to give you a more user-driven deep dive into this Gen 10 iPad here and find out who that tablet could actually benefit. And I want to create videos explaining why my two favorite Apple products of last year, my 14-inch MacBook Pro Max and my beloved iPad mini, are still such fantastic devices to invest in, especially with these new upgrades on the horizon for next year, which means you can snag these devices at some really great discounts. Now, if you're already subscribed to the channel, I appreciate you. And if not, and you want to join us for those upcoming vids, a sub to the channel would be much appreciated. So yeah, I'm happy that Apple decided not to give us any more boring updates this year, and hopefully that means they spend some more time and effort on these new devices so they can provide us with some more meaningful upgrades next year. Anyway, just wanted to share my thoughts with you guys, and I look forward to creating some awesome content for you for the remainder of this year. If you enjoyed the video, please give it one of these. It really does make a difference. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.